What it do, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I wanted to talk about 10 different formulations of cream bronzer that I personally would say definitely go ahead and check out for this summer period of time. I will be talking about different coverage amounts, so all the way from light coverage to pretty high medium to full coverage. And then I will also be talking about different formulations, so from gel to cream to liquid. So if you are interested in hearing about some bronzer formulations that I would recommend to you guys, just stay tuned. Alrighty guys, so I have a variety of bronzers. If you did not know, I am a very avid shopper of bronzer, cream bronzer, powder bronzer, bronzer all in between, shimmery, matte, everything. Everything when it comes to bronzer, I am an avid purchaser of. So I wanted to break these videos up because there's so many different formulations that I personally want to recommend to you guys. So yeah, I hope this is okay. What I'm going to be doing is kind of going from affordable to maybe not so affordable. I'll be talking about why I will recommend certain formulations and who I would recommend them for. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you're interested in my makeup look, it was recorded by the time this video is up. I'm sure this will be up, so I will go ahead and link it down below. Let's get into it. So the first formulation I'm going to go ahead and talk about are the new bronze sticks from ColourPop. So if you guys watch my shorts, I did do a short on both of these shades and I showcased them both on my skin tone. The lighter shade, which is Shell Beach, and I can do swatches. So Shell Beach. And then the darker shade, which is Manhattan Beach. So this is a very creamy formula. It definitely glides on easily. I don't think that you need to put this on a brush or warm it up by any means with your hands. It is very easy to just glide onto your foundation, whatever you have on your base, or maybe lack thereof. It does not really pull any of that product either, which I do appreciate. It is very easily blendable as well. And yeah, I think these are solid products. Do they have, the most nuance in the undertone? No, they're pretty much all neutral undertones. Although to me, this Shell Beach, at least on my skin tone, it looks a little peachy pinky undertone-ish with a little bit of orange. It's just a very weird undertone. It doesn't really work on my skin tone. It's not perfectly dark enough for me, but maybe in the height of winter I can get away with using this in addition to a powder bronzer. That's typically what I do when a cream bronzer doesn't work by itself. I will easily pull in a powder bronzer to kind of deepen it up and then make everything work. So either way, I definitely think that these products are nice, but do know that these are the two darkest shades. So if you are darker than me significantly, unfortunately, you may not be able to find a shade in this particular range. And I will try to emphasize, how many shades are in each range. This range, I believe, has 6 shades, and I believe these are $10 each. So I will have everything, of course, listed and linked down below. I will also have the shades that I particularly own in each respective product down below for you guys, so it's easier for you as well. The next affordable product that I have is actually from Makeup Revolution. So this is in a cream compact, as you can see, and this is a product that a lot of people had on their favorites last year, and I decided I really wanted to kind of test out these people's favorites. I was intending to do a video in January. It just never happened. I still have all of the YouTubers' favorites products, and I still have my notes so I know what products and which YouTuber it is. So if you are interested in that video from me, just let me know. I can still go ahead and create it. But like I said, this is a product that a lot of people were raving about. This is in the shade Deep. I do believe there is one deeper shade. I think they call it like Very Deep or something. But this is the shade. It is right there. And it is on the same level, I would say, as that ColourPop. The difference between the ColourPop and this one is that this one is a lot more neutral than the ColourPop. And for that reason, I actually prefer the ColourPop shade than over this one. I don't mind a neutral tone, but to me, as I have learned to kind of enjoy and experience more bronzer formulations and everything, I realized that I will take a warm undertone over a neutral, and I will always take a yellow based undertone over everything. So formula wise, this is great, and I've never said that it's not great. It's the color that for me, it's not perfect. And for me, I find that in these more affordable drugstore ranges, you're not going to get all of those nuances that I find you truly get in more expensive formulations. And so that's why a lot of this ranking, this isn't even ranked, but that's why a lot of the products that I'm going to be showcasing to you guys are going to be more higher end, because I just find that the undertone nuance is more, and sometimes even the shade range is just bigger as well. I want to say for this shade range, there's only 4 shades available, but that might be wrong. Okay, so like I said, this is not a ranked order, but I'm going to try to remember off cuff somewhat the price and do it that way. I want to say this was around $15-ish dollars. I might be wrong on that. Okay, so here is the LYS Strength Cream Bronzer, and I am affiliated with this brand, just so that you guys know, but they did not send me this product. This is the second to deepest shade. No, this is the deepest shade. I had a shade lighter than this previously, but I decided to go for this shade. Once again, it's very much in line with that ColourPop dark shade range. A lot of bronzer ranges really just end here, but that's a conversation for another day. Like I said, this is in the shade Strength, and this is an extremely creamy bronzer. If you have ever felt the need to try a cream bronzer and you felt like it did not blend the way it should, this is the bronzer for you. I promise you, there is no error capability here, and it will blend. It pretty much blends itself. It is insane. It is very, very smooth. So you can go ahead and just apply it with the compact, and just know you don't need a lot, especially if you are of a lighter complexion. I would say less is more with this product. For my skin tone, it really doesn't matter. It kind of can blend in a little bit easier than others, but do know this is the most blendable formulation that I'm going to be talking about today. It is extremely creamy. And yeah, it's Black owned, so the shades do tend to lean towards the darker shade ranges. So yeah, and I want to say that one is quite affordable for Sephora brands. I want to say that's about $18. Next, let's switch up the formulations. Let's go for the one oddball out. This is a gel formula, and this is also totes to be luminous. This is from Glossier, and it's in the shade Volt. Now, this is an oddball for quite a few reasons in this particular collection. One, it has an extreme red undertone. As you can see, it pretty much looks like a red swipe on my skin. It also has that gel formulation, and it touts that it is luminous. In my opinion, that luminosity just makes it easier to blend. Once my whole face is done with the powder, with the setting spray, all of that, I don't see any straight up luminosity. But I do find that what I see in my depth of skin tone can definitely vary to people who are of a lighter skin tone trying the exact same product. I do vaguely remember Morgan Turner trying this product, and I don't think she had any complaints over a luminosity happening there. So I do think that overall this brand did really well with covering up any form of glitter, if there's any glitter or like a mica type product in this to cause that luminosity. But I truly do enjoy this product. It is pretty much my ride or die, and this is one of the lightest coverage products that I'm going to be showcasing to you guys today. I use this with my skin tints, and I find that it is just the right amount of coverage that it works. It blends in. It's beautiful, easily blendable as well. I wouldn't say it's necessarily on the LYS, but it is very, very easily blendable. And I think I forgot to tout how much coverage was for the first 3 bronzers. All 3 of those bronzers, I would say, is a solid medium coverage. So if you want to have foundation with it, I definitely would recommend that. Certain skin tints, you can definitely use that for as well. But if you have more of a lighter skin tint, I would say right now, stick with this one. Another fantastic cream bronzer, which I actually have another shade, but it's buried right now, so I'm not gonna juggle with it. Yes, I should, right? I should be a good YouTuber. Okay, hold on. Let me find the other shade. All right, so the brand that I was gonna be talking about is Rare Beauty. I have 2 of their cream bronzers. The first one that I picked up is True Warmth, which I am close to needing to constantly roll this baby up. These are cream bronzer sticks, and they dry down with like a skin-like finish to them. And they're the 2 shades right here. So like I said, the top one is On the Horizon. No, the top one is True Warmth, and this one is On the Horizon. On the Horizon has a yellow-based undertone, whereas True Warmth has a straight-up red undertone. The best part about this particular bronzer formulation, though, is even though it has that straight up red undertone or color, really, it blends in beautifully with my skin tone. I've never had an issue where I felt like it literally looks like a stripe of red, unless I quite literally forgot to blend it in, and then I looked at footage and I was like, what is that? What is that? But otherwise, both shades work beautifully with my skin tone. What I will say is that if you are looking at my camera footage, you would not like what On the Horizon does to my skin, because for the camera, it's not giving enough depth and enough difference in tone or shade to really look like it's doing anything. In person, there is a slight yellow undertone to this and a slight depth accomplished with this. What I would say is this: if you are of my skin tone and you want a very, very obvious bronzered effect without having to add a powder bronzer on top, and you could just apply your powder on top and still see that there's some significant bronzed effect, I would get True Warmth. It's the more red undertone, red coloring. If you're comfortable with like more of a subtle bronze that maybe you might feel sometimes that you need to top off with, let's say, a powder bronzer, then I would say get On the Horizon. If you are somebody like me and you just realize that you truly enjoy a yellow based undertone, On the Horizon is going to be the option if you are of my skin tone. What I wish that this brand had done is done the exact same undertone here, but in a depth level darker than True Warmth. That would have been perfect for me, but unfortunately that was not what was done. Who knows? They launched new shades before. They could always launch more shades, and hopefully if they do, I have the money and the capability to pick it up, because that is definitely one of my favorite formulas. Once again, that is definitely a satin finish. I would say leaning more on that light medium coverage wise. It's not super, super opaque, and it really does blend in. So it definitely could be useful for lighter coverage foundations. I would personally say though that I would not use that for a tinted moisturizer. That's just my personal opinion, but feel free to use whatever you want whenever you want. Another bronzer that I've used recently with a tinted moisturizer and I liked the effect is the Tower 28 Bronzino in Pacific Coast. So if you've been on my channel for a while, you know that me and this particular bronzer we've had a journey. We have had a journey. I've had 2 different shades, and I want to say this is the darker of the 2 that I had. I want to say that, but I might be wrong. And if you're interested in seeing full on like face swatches, I have a full bronzer hunt video with this. So I will have that playlist linked down below. What I will say about this, let me show you the swatch. I just swatched it and went about my business. So this is the swatch right here. It is not a very opaque coverage. So this is why I say that it's a really nice product for a tinted moisturizer. I would say this is quite of a light complexion, even, or a light coverage, even though it's in this type of pan. My issue with this bronzer in the past was that it was too shiny. What I have found though is that as it's been in my collection, it is dried out, and now I have the right amount of product going. So for the bronzers though, it doesn't take nearly as much time as the blushes. The blushes took a stupid amount of time, but with these, it just took a little bit of time, maybe like a month, for it to just kind of get itself together. And since it does, I like it. I like it. I've also grown in application methods with certain brushes and stuff. This is a really nice product. I do enjoy the like slight shimmer. Once again, I don't see that in the end result on my skin tone, but I believe I've heard people of a lighter skin tone saying that they do see it. So once again, garner your opinions based on your skin tone and your preference, but this is something that I would recommend to combine with a tinted moisturizer, not necessarily a foundation that has a lot of coverage, because that foundation, you're really just not going to see that particular type of bronzer on that type of foundation. The last kind of lighter coverage bronzer that I have to recommend to you guys for their formulation, of course, is the Danessa Myricks Balm Contour. Now, if you guys did not know, I panned completely her cream bronzer last year, and this is a product that I believe she released last year or even late the year before that. So I have this in the shade Deep 1, and this is it right here. As you can see, it has that like yellowedness to it that I truly love and appreciate. This is another bronzer that I would say is light enough to go with a tinted moisturizer, and even though it says that it's a bronzer or a contour, it works perfectly for me as a bronzer just because of how it works on my skin tone compared to my skin tone's undertones. It's beautifully blendable. It's really nice. And yeah, I would say that this is kind of the summer version of the Balm bronzer, because that bronzer is very thick and very, very opaque and has a extreme potency to it. So if you put a little bit on, you blend that thing out and that sucker is gonna last, okay? Whereas this, you have a little bit of fluidity to it, and you can add a little bit more because it's not so opaque, and there's a little bit more room for error with this product as compared to the actual cream bronzer from Danessa Myricks' range. So this is the one that I would recommend if you are somebody, once again, who likes a tinted moisturizer during the summer. I would not recommend trying to pick up or even picking up or using your Danessa Myricks cream bronzer. It's just too thick in my opinion. It's going to be very heavy and very cakey on a tinted moisturizer, and it can just overtake a tinted moisturizer instead of blending in and creating a very seamless base like I'm sure you guys want. 3 more products to talk about. One, because it's a favorite, and if I'm talking about a cream bronzer, this is going to be the favorite bar none. And this is my ABH cream bronzer in hazelnut. Now this is a thicker formula for somebody to really use a lot in the summer, which is why you guys have not seen this predominantly in my description box this summer. So this is it right here. And what I love about this particular shade is a couple of different things. Mainly the undertone. It does have that yellow undertone that you guys know I truly enjoy and love. But there is a depth to this one. So all of the other yellow based undertones, you can see they quite literally blend in. You don't get all that much depth. But this one, there is depth, and that is what I have loved about this formula. Yes, it gives you about that medium type coverage. I would gravitate you towards getting this if you wear foundations over the summer. And it is quite blendable, but you do have to know that for this type of product, as with all of these more compact products in this manner, you're going to need a brush. You're not going to be able to just kind of put it on your face. You can use a sponge. I have used a sponge with all of these cream and pan, and I've enjoyed the formula as well. That way, I will say the two that I would caution you not to use a sponge with is this. It takes longer to build them up. The sponge basically takes away the coverage. It will feel pointless. It will feel pointless. I could say any of the bronzers that I've said have more of a medium coverage, definitely go ahead and feel comfortable to use a sponge. And if you use a sponge, it will actually take away a little bit of that coverage. And so it may be easier for you to blend in some of these more medium coverage cream bronzers into your tinted moisturizer if that's what you wish. So I definitely love this formula and I am very happy to have it. So yeah, that's why this is my number one. It gives me the best of both worlds. I get a deeper shade than my skin tone, but I also get my favorite undertone out of all the undertones. So ABH cream bronzer in hazelnut. Second to last, I want to talk about a product that will give you the best of both worlds when it comes to formulations. So in this formulation, you not only have the cream, you have the powder. And I will be quite honest, for me, I don't really like the powder. I don't. I prefer the cream bronzer. And so that's what I've always recommend when I talk about this particular product. But if you're not as picky as me, then the cream bronzer and the powder bronzer could definitely be the way to go. So it's down there, but of course you guys can't see. Okay, so this is it right here. As you can see, it's not super, super deep compared to my skin tone, right? But there's enough depth once it's applied that it works out and you can see it. What I find is that this powder is just very hard pressed. It's very hardly pressed in the pan. The one thing that the powder does give this duo though is that it gives you a more traditional red orange undertone, whereas the cream gives you a little bit more of that yellow. So that's the one positive about the powder, but I don't like the powder. I don't think it picks up very easily or well at all. And I have synthetic brushes, I have natural hair brushes, I have them all. And I just don't feel like this powder picks up very easily. But the cream is fantastic. And if you are somebody who you just want one product that can give you both, this is what I would say. I have this in the shade She's Chiseled. When I picked this up, this was the darkest shade. I believe they've recently released one darker duo though, so do keep that in mind. And once again, this is going to give you that medium coverage, more skin-like finish, not very satin or anything like that. It is blendable, the cream. I do appreciate that. Of course, if you put the powder on top, you're not going to get that skin-like finish. But then again, if you follow the instructions that Patrick Ta has, then you would actually putting the powder down first. And so then you would get a very kind of very skin-like sheen, because this cream does have quite a sheen to it. So you know, a lot of variables to take into consideration, but I just wanted to recommend this for those who just wanted both products in one compact. This would be what I would recommend. And then last but certainly not least, the product that I would recommend if you just want one cream bronzer to last you till the end of time. Because there are people who you just want one product, and cream bronzer maybe not your thing. Bronzer in general may not be your thing, but if you want one product that is going to last you till kingdom come, this is her. It is the Charlotte Tilbury Cream Sun-Kissed Glow Bronzer, whatever. This particular one is the one that is in the shade Deep Bronze. So this is the wrong bronzer. If you want an actual bronzer and you are my skin tone, get the shade 3. I have both. Don't be like me. Get the shade 3. If you are somebody who you actually want to contour, then and only then, if you're my skin tone, get shade 4. But for all intents purposes, we're just going to I should swatch. I should swatch both shades. Okay, hold on. Once again, let me be a good YouTuber. Alrighty, so let me just show you guys the pans first so that you guys can see, and then we'll go from there. So this is shade 3, this is shade 4. As you can see, this is clearly cooler and darker, and this is clearly lighter and warmer. So I'm gonna swatch both. Shade 3, once again, is the shade I would recommend if you are of my skin tone and you like similar bronzers to me. That is the one I recommend. If you are of my skin tone and you want a contour, get shade 4. If you are darker than me, this would be the range that I would say is actually going to work for you. I will say that Charlotte really did good with giving that depth. Can you see? You can't even see because the way Charlotte really ensured that there was going to be depth in her range for everybody. So this is shade 3 and this is shade 4. And what I will say is that this is the formula. If you are somebody who needs a formula that is cream to matte, this would be the formula. I feel like these are a powder matte finish when you apply it. As I haven't said, but I will just blanketly say, I try all of my cream products both under and over powder. That is just a preference of mine, because if I forget to put my cream bronzer on, I want to know that I can put it on after. All of these have worked. So do keep that in mind. But this one gives a lot more, in my opinion, of a powdery finish. The ABH, it gives a little bit more skin-like, in my opinion. It's not full on powder and it's not a shimmer or satin. This is powder. It literally feels like powder to me. So this would be the finish I would say, but the amount of product that you get in this is just ridiculous. So, but you get that because it costs a lot, and she also touts that these can be applied on the body. So there is a 24-month shelf life, so do keep that in mind. And these you get 0.74 ounces of product. When you look at the ABH, oh wow, I lied. Charlotte just makes it look big. Well, it just feels like there's a lot of product in here. But I would say there still is a lot of product in here because it takes a little goes an extremely long way. And so even though there is only 0.75, you don't need a lot. As you can see, in both of the compacts, you don't see much disturbing in the middle of it, but I have used these quite a bit because I had to test them out. And as I test things out, I use them, but also I've reached for them every now and then. And they still don't have a lot of use being shown. That's because you don't need a lot. You guys saw me apply this one in my Barbie tutorial recently, and you saw how quickly that dark shade spread. It spread. So I definitely highly recommend, once again, still, if you need something to last you from Kingdom Come, get this, because a little goes a long way and there's a decent amount of product in there for what you're picking up. So yeah, that was a long video for only talking about 10 products, but I really wanted to try to give you guys all of the ins and outs. I stopped giving you guys prices mainly because I don't know the prices off the top of my head. I do know that this is the most expensive bronzer that I have in this whole thing. I want to say those are like $48. Those are expensive. So do keep that in mind. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.